So how exactly do you pick the best ETF for yourself as a retail investor, as the guy trying to create wealth for himself, investing 300 rand, 1,000 rand, 1,250 rand per month, trying to create something for himself, and now looking into investing to a ETF, looking to exchange trade funds? What's the best way to pick them? What's the best way to know this one is a good investment for yourself? That's the question we're answering on today's video, guys. So if you're new to my channel, please do consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and turning on the notification bell so you can get notified with every brand new video I drop right here on my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. It's because of you guys I've reached 13,000 subscribers. Now let's go for 15,000. Now let's go for 20,000 subscribers. Without wasting any of your time, guys, let's get into today's video. Hello, future millionaires and billionaires, and welcome to the insightful and informative video right here on my YouTube channel. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Ivan Sambo. I'm your guy right here on YouTube that simplify the world of investing, saving, budgeting, or even investing, or even earning money for yourself. I make it simple to understand, and I put it within the context of South Africa, within the understanding and circumstances we are living in as South African, so that we can be able to invest, all of us, but at the same time do so within the circumstances we find ourselves as a country. So that's basically who I am. As always, guys, I do not provide any financial advice. None of my video constitute as such, but only for educational purposes. So let's get a disclaimer out of the way. And this video, guys, is brought to you in collaboration with the Centrix Now app team. So if you're interested in investing in unit trust, in exchange traded funds in the most simplest way, in the most easy and affordable way possible, please do ensure you download their app. I'll put the link in the description of this video as well, guys. Do tell me what Centrix ETF do you like the most. Tell me in the comment section below. I know some of you guys are all about the top 40, but as I said, the variety is a lot there on that app. So let's get into the video for today. As always, I have my notes with me. Oh, by the way, I got a new journal. I got it from the bookshop. I think it was going for like 70 rand. I was like, yo, this is a deal. I need to buy myself this journal. And it's a nice color, by the way. This is a nice color. Let me stop talking about my journal. So I'll keep on referring to my journal, guys, if I miss a particular point. So let's get started. What exactly is an exchange traded fund, or ETF? The most simplest way we can define it that it's a basket of underlying assets or shares or commodities or whatever it is, going to be different asset classes that belong to a particular basket. And when you buy that basket, you get all those underlying assets into one. For example, you can buy a basket that has the top 40 JSE listed companies, and when you buy that basket, you get all the top 40 JSE listed companies in one purchase. So you don't have to buy every single one. You just buy just that basket and you get all those companies. So it can be a different type of ETF. Some can be on commodities, for example, gold, platinum, silver. If they still even sell silver, but anyway, different topic. Or it can be under property. You can buy an ETF that follows property indexes, or can buy an ETF that follows bond indexes. So it can be a different variety of assets under an ETF. And so the next question after what is an ETF is, why must you invest into an ETF? Why must you invest in an exchange traded fund? The reason to do that, guys, is because number one, diversity. It gives you a diversified investment portfolio, allow you to enter markets that you cannot directly enter. For example, maybe you're looking to enter the Chinese market. You can't go directly to the Beijing market and buy there, whatever it is. You cannot go directly there and buy. So what you do, you buy an ETF that follows the indexes of China, or the asset classes in China, or one in Japan, or one in South Korea, whatever it is. ETF allow you to access market market that you cannot, so you can diversify your portfolio. The other thing about ETF as well, when you're a beginner investor, you're still new in this investment world, it allows you to start easily by having a diversified in portfolio that is low risk. But ETF are low risk compared to individual companies or individual shares, so it allows you to enter the market slowly using them. So that's one of the best way that I can say you can invest on ETF. There are a lot of reasons, but I won't dive into. So now let's go straight into it, guys. How do you pick the best one? How do you know your ETF is good? To give you a simple answer, you can never know. I can never give you the answer that you know now. No, it's because number one, it's based on the individual investor that you are. So I always say this: understand the type of investor that you are. Before applying all the knowledge I'll put right here, the point that you need to look at, until you understand the type of investor that you are, the information that I will give will be a little bit useless to you if you don't understand the type of investor that you are. You need to understand, am I an aggressive investor? Am I a moderate investor? Am I a conservative investor? Am I a conservative or moderate to aggressive investor? Where do I fall in as an investor? Understand that, as well as understand the situation that you are in as an investor, as a retail investor. How much can you invest every single month? Because that will influence the type of an ETF that you need to have. Literally, it will influence it. So let's get that out of the way. Now let's talk into the 5 points, or the 5 points that you must look into when you are picking an ETF. Number one, the category of ETF you are investing into. When I say categories, there are 3 categories that you must look into. The sector that you're investing into. Are you investing into property? Is that ETF into property? Is that ETF into individual? Are you into equities? Is it into commodities? Or is in, like, you need to understand what type of ETF it is, the sector it is in, as well as the field. When I say the field, it is a tech ETF that has a technology company. Does it have healthcare companies? Does it have like, what type of ETF is the category of ETF is important, and also the type of country that it's in. That's also part of categories. You need to know that, guys. Because is this ETF exposed in South Africa? Is this ETF exposed in China? Is this ETF exposed in Japan, America? The reason that is important, guys, is because, for example, if you have a lot of individual companies, right, that you invest into in the JSE, it doesn't make sense as well to buy ETFs that are heavily in the JSE as well, because now you are risking your money into one basket, and if that basket falls, you lose everything. So it's good to look, is this ETF hugely in China, Japan, America, South Africa? If it's in Japan, it's good because now you are exposed into different markets. So look into that as well. And in the sector, do you have individual companies in your portfolio that are into healthcare? So why will you now buy an ETF that's in the healthcare sector as well? So you need to look into that as well. Is your ETF in mining? And now you have Sibaya Stillwater individual shares. You have African Rainbow Minerals. You have blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah mineral mining company. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. So you need to use ETF. Look at the category of ETF it is, the field they are in, the sector that they are in, the country that they're in, so that you can be able to judge based on that and based on where your individual shares are. So, for example, you can now say, okay, I'm diversifying, I'm going there. So the category is important, guys. Look into it. That's number one. Number two, dividends, guys. If you are a dividend investor, it doesn't make sense for you to look into an ETF that doesn't pay out dividends, because you'll be stressing and you will sell it at a loss and make a loss. So you need to be able to look at the dividends. I'm not a dividends investor, so I don't mind having ETF that doesn't pay out dividends, but some other people are dividends investors, so for them, dividends will be important. If that makes sense. So that's it, number two. Number three, you need to check out how well does your ETF follow or track the underlying index. By this, guys, I mean, for example, we have the Centrix Top 40 ETF, which follows the JSE Top 40 index. Do you understand? So you need to look at because this ETF is created to follow the JSE Top 40 index, how well is the margin of error there? Is it small? Is it big? Like, sometimes for an ETF that is following the Nasdaq 100, but the margin of error between the two is so wide that you end up losing money on your investment. So look into the margin of error of how well does your exchange traded fund follow the underlying index it is tracking. So that is important as well, guys. The other point that you need to look into is the fees and provider of your exchange traded funds. When I say fees and providers, I'm talking about, for example, if you're using, let's use Centrix. If you're using Centrix, guys, you know they are paying low fees. They don't charge you high fees on your ETF. They're a good provider. They are well known in this country. They have a good history and well loved by retail investors. So now when you go and look for another one outside of that, you need to look how are their fees, because you can't go for someone that pays high fees on ETF that you can get from another provider at a low fee. But it doesn't make sense to pay 1% on an ETF. Doesn't make sense to pay 0.9% on an ETF on fees alone. So look into that as well. Look at the history, the trading history of that ETF provider on the other ETF they have. That's important, guys. They always a pattern in everything. So look into that as well. Fees and the provider itself. The third point, guys, is the size of an ETF. I don't like big ETFs, and also I don't like small ETF. I want a moderate to big. Not like I want a mod. I don't like it too big, man. But I think if an ETF is too big, does have a right much of space to grow. But if it's too small, still risky. So for me, I don't like that. But for you guys, you need to look at what type of investor am I. Will I be okay having a small ETF in terms of size? I will be okay having a big ETF in terms of size as well. But conservative investors love big ETF because they are always a well-established, having a good history of investments. They have a history. They know how we have been performed for the past few years. But aggressive investors love small ETF, the new guys in the blog, the new ETF that is diving into China, diving into Brazil's economy. You see, they look into those type of ETF there. So that's something you need to look into as well. And as a bonus point, guys, also when you are looking to ETF, also look into ETF that will fit into your tax-free savings account, because that will allow you to maximize the profits you will earn and maximize the capital getting in and dividends paid out from your traded funds, so that you can be able to not pay high tax. For example, if that ETF your pays a dividend, you're not won't be liable to pay that 20% dividend tax because it belongs to your tax-free savings account. And when you use your tax-free savings account inside the Centrix Now app that you can download using the link in the description of this video, you can be able to pay low fees, have access to all the Centrix unit trust and ETF inside the Now app. Benefit a plus one. So those are the key issues that you need to look into, guys, when you invest in your tax-free. I'm not investing in a tax-free savings account, but investing in a exchange traded fund. Number one, look into the category as a category into field, sector, country you're exposed into. Look into dividends. Look into how well it tracks the underlying IN index. Look into this fees that you pay on that ETF and the ETF provider. Look into the size of the ETF, and also don't invest into ETF that do with the same thing, because sometimes you see someone have an ETF on provider ABCD that tracks the S&P 500, then have an and also at the same time has a centric S&P 500 ETF as well. Those are the same ETF. Why do we have them? It's better to have one in one field and just have it under one provider than to go buy the same field but in different providers. Doesn't make sense. Like, literally doesn't make sense. So that's it for me, guys. Please do ensure you download the Centric Now app on the Google Play Store or in your iStore. I don't know what iPhone people use. I'm an Android user. So ensure you download the app and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of the app. Tell me what you think of today's video. But as always, guys, I am Ivan Sambo, your student investor. Thank you so much for watching.